Support proplaygames on Patreon.
Hey guys, I'm Adrian. I've been playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for about 6 or 7 years, and I'm gonna start working alongside PPG to bring you some competitive content from our local tournaments. Here we have Khalil playing Branded versus multiple YCS champion Andres Torres playing SKYSTRIKER. Both decks recently got hit and unlocked on the ban list a decent bit. So with that being said, we can get right into the gameplay here. Looks like Khalil's gonna go first, and he's gonna start us off with a fusion deployment, it seems like. This reveals a card from the extra deck to get one of the named cards in the fusion materials from the deck, revealing Grand Wiggnall, which should grab the Cartesia here. This can be a play to bait out the Ash for the branded fusion, which Andres does have, and we're gonna see how Khalil responds to this play here. He's gonna normal summon Aluber, which can also get you to a branded fusion, but this will also be met with a hand trap. SKYSTRIKER obviously being a deck well known for playing a lot of hand traps, but Khalil already had the branded fusion in hand, and he's gonna send the Fallen of Albas. There's a couple other things he can send as a secondary material, but here he appears to be choosing the Lubellion, which guarantees the most follow-up. Sending a light and a dark, he's forced to go into Albion, which banishes to fuse, and at the end phase, if it's in the graveyard, he can search the turn that it was sent. He's gonna attempt to fuse into Lubellion. Here another choke point of the deck, and Andres appears to have the impermanence from the Lubellion. He did discard the Dark Magician to the graveyard, which can open some Dragoon plays in the late game. He's going to summon the Beastie Lubellion by tributing a dragon, also putting the Albion in the graveyard, which will allow him another search in the end phase. And Beastie Lubellion, when summoned, he can search for the continuous spell trap and place it, which right now the only card ran should be Branded and Lost, which he is going to search. This card obviously stops the interaction of your opponent when you go into your fusion chains and allows you to search some follow-ups such as Mercurier, depending on obviously a deck list that Khalil is running. He's gonna set one, and then looks like he's moving to end phase to activate the Albion effect, to search branded spell, trap to set it or put it into the hand. He has a couple options here. He can search the Retribution to some more interaction, same with the Branded in red, which can generate more advantage. Kind of evening out the game with different fuses you can do in your opponent's turn. Obviously, like if you knew he was playing to SKYSTRIKER, you can do some plays with that to kind of stop him from evening out the game and kind of outpace you. Branded Fusion is also a good pickup here, guaranteeing follow-up if he believes that his opponent can't kill him through his board or can't set up a board that you wouldn't be able to break. But even then, Branded Fusion is just like the most powerful card of the deck. Andres here is going to be on 2 cards, or 3 cards with the draw. Branded Fusion is a really powerful card. And Andres seems to start off his turn with Absurd Goblin right away, drawing a card, putting a spell in the graveyard, trying to hit those 3 spells that SKYSTRIKER needs to start to get the really nice effects, that the secondary effects that the cards do. He's going to set a card, setting up for what could be multi-roll or Area 0 or even Link Gauge to summon, which he does have. He has the Link Gauge, which he locks him into SKYSTRIKERs, but he sends a card to summon a SKYSTRIKER monster from the extra deck, which here, if he doesn't have Engage, will probably Hayate to be able to swing, send Engage, and start gaining some value with the extra draws, and which is the play he goes for. He's going to attempt to swing directly here, and we'll see what he sends. It can be something that he has in the graveyard, so yeah, it will be Engage. This indicates that the next play will most likely be going into Kagari to add back the Engage and start, drawing some cards. So we see him here adding back the Engage, and Engage can search a lot of cards here, such as the pop spells, the normal spells, Wado Anchorage to try to go in some link chains, or even some of the monsters. He's gonna go for Ray. This is really good in this matchup, since if he tries to destroy any of the link monsters, he can get them back and continue to gain advantage of that. Since he has a normal summon, he can also go into Zeke here and start to out the board. We'll see which play he chooses to do here. He has to consider obviously the set card, which could still be Branded in red. He didn't search it, which can indicate that he already has it, but having the Ogre and the Imperm, that kind of gets rid of the loss too, which can definitely hinder him in the interactions that he has. We see him normal summoning Ray. He already uses battle phase, so looks like he's gonna go for Zeke here, which should be able to banish itself in a card. I believe monsters only. And yeah, slowly outs the board. And then they both come back on at some point during the next turn, I believe. He's getting rid of the Lubellion, obviously a fusion target. And then slowly but surely picking apart the board, getting some advantage. He's gonna link away and to Shizuku, it appears like. So that's probably everything he's gonna do on the turn, because that search is in the end phase. He's gonna set the Imperm on, or what we believe is the Imperm on the Lost Zone. Obviously that's gonna make it a 2-for-1, which is yeah, just slowly getting more advantage. We'll see what he wants to get on the end phase. Afterburners, that's obviously he won't be able to activate it on the next turn, but until the next turn. But it's still it's gonna make him able to pick apart the board a lot easier, and with that he passes. Khalil here has a lot of plays, especially with that branded fusion that he added last turn. He can possibly kill Andres this turn depending on how he chooses to go about it. He's going to switch the Bestial Lubellion on attack position, getting ready to start swinging here. And starts us off with another copy of Fusion Deployment. This is really good in this situation, obviously, because he has the Imperm, so whatever he tries to hit with the Imperm, he'll be able to quick effect fuse unless he decides to start with that. But there's really no reason not to, because at that point you're just trying to play around to secure the game. And assuming he doesn't have Ash, he should be able to seal the deal here. We can see here activating Branded Fusion. Obviously has to send one Fallen of Albaz, and the second card will dictate what kind of line he wants to go for. Here he has the possibility to go into Dragoon, which is notoriously hard to out into by a SKYSTRIKER matchup. Obviously at Towers, really powerful card in its time. Starting to see more play with this branded deck, and people deciding to play the Dark Magician and the Hexiel to go into it, which opens some possibilities. We'll just have to see what he goes for here. I would personally probably try to set up for that, just because it's yeah, it's just a powerhouse of a card into this matchup. Andres here thinking what he wants to do. Obviously we know he also has the Ogre, so if he tries to start, if he doesn't stop it here somehow, or hits the Lost, it can get out of hand really quickly. He chooses to Infinite Impermanence preemptively into the Lost, so he can try to save his turn. Khalil here thinking about what he wants to do in response, although I think the only thing, yeah, it's Blazing Cartesia to fuse to dodge it. Obviously the Imperm there's not the best, but if he doesn't, it kind of gets out of control. Granguignol here is going to try to activate to send 2. Resolution of that. We'll see what he sends of the Branded Fusion first though. He sends the Fallen of Albaz, and he has decent amount of choices here, depending on if he plays more Bestials or more of a Despia engine. He could even send Tragedy or Mercury, trying to set up for different lines. That's the thing with Branded, it's a very open-ended deck, especially now that the Puppet Lock isn't as easy to pull off, and a lot of people opt not to run it anymore, and it's more of a high-risk, high-reward play. You can see him here. It appears he's going to try to dig for the Tragedy, maybe? Oh, the Cartesia. He can add that back in the end phase too, and set up also for some other plays. Just time will tell us. It does appear he's trying to go for the OTK here. So he's going to attempt to do Albion. He attempted to do Branded and Lost, but that was negated by the Imperm because it was in the same column. However, the Albion will still resolve here. They're going over what Imperm does real quick, and just making sure that the loss is negated, which I believe it should be. Negate its effects until the end of the turn. Then if there's a card set, yep, so that the Branded loss should be negated. But so I think they're just clarifying the game state real quick here. There was some confusion with the activation of the Imperm. And I guess since it did not negate, they were arguing if it would negate the loss or not, which I guess in this case it doesn't. We'll just have to see how this resolves it. Appears to be searching Mercurial of the Lost. And yeah, he searches Mercurial of the Lost, so I guess it wasn't negated. And he's gonna try to banish from the Diffuse of the Albion, which the follow-up should probably be the Loop Belling here, unless he only plays one, which would make for some awkward plays. He now also has the negate of a hand trap with Mercurial, so he should be set to go from here. There's very few things he has to play around, really, other than maybe Nibiru, which will stop him from the game, but even then he can just negate it, so it doesn't matter. He still has the Ray in the graveyard, I believe, so when if the Link monster, the Shizuku, is destroyed, it can bring him back and it can make for some interesting interaction. So we'll just have to see what he decides to go with here, and obviously taking some time to think as it's a critical point in the game. You can also choose to summon back the Bestial Lubalion later on to put some extra damage on board. So we'll see him here summoning what appears to be a Dragoon. Previously said, really hard card to out by the SKYSTRIKER matchup. Also another negate on top of that, so he's pretty much sealing the deal at this point. With that Garura Sand, should get him some nice extra cards too. We'll just have to see what he drew, see how he plays with those cards. We still don't know what the set card is. If it's branded in red, obviously it can generate him even more advantage. At this point, it just feels like SKYSTRIKER that can't really do much here. He's gonna try to pop the Shizuku, which should be met by the Ray activation. We'll just have to see if he chooses to negate it. Just think about it. He does negate it, leaving Andres on an open field, staring at a lot of big monsters. Should be close to game, I believe. Khalil's doing some calculations to make sure, and yeah, Andres scoops game 1, and game 1 goes to Khalil playing branded. Going into game 2, both players have some choices here. Either can go first or second into any matchup, and Andres can definitely choose to go first or second since he has so many hand traps. Which here he appears to. He made Khalil go first. We can see he already has an army of hand traps to stop that fusion deployment off the bat with Ash Blossom. However, if Khalil has the brand fusion, obviously he can keep playing with that. She appears to not have any more plays other than that. Andres here starting off with a Rhoda to get the Ray, which will immediately be met by Khalil's own Ash Blossom. He's going to activate Observer Goblin to draw a card, gaining Khalil 1,000 life points. One spell away from getting to engage, and he's going to go Ray into, if he doesn't have engage, Hayate. Same play as last turn, trying to get that engage into the graveyard and add it back with the Kagari. So we see him swing for, I believe it's 15. Same thing, just trying to outpace Khalil, slowly but surely. He's gonna start Hornet Drones, which can mean that he does have the engage in hand, and he was just trying to get the 3 spells, which is obviously, yep, what he has. Trying to search a card here. He could search Widow Anchors for some interaction in his opponent's turn. He could even search one that's almost from the graveyard, which is what I believe he got, which the name's beating me right now. Try to get a monster from his opponent's graveyard, obviously into the Brandon matchup. That's really good. Trying to interrupt some of the fusions, taking away the Fallen of Albas and such. He can add back the engage here, try to go into some more plays. It appears he's engaging for multi-roll here, and we'll draw a card. Yep. So as you can see, slowly off on a couple cards, he's generating a lot of advantage, outpacing his opponent. Let's see him here. Set 2. He's gonna tag out into Shizuku, and we'll see if he wants to activate the multi-roam. Which appears he doesn't. He's just gonna go into end phase and search. He's gonna search for the linkage, obviously setting up for that OTK combo next turn, depending on what Khalil ends on. We'll just have to see. Obviously, still very hard to out the Dragoon if Khalil can get to that, but with his opening hand last turn. Wow, so Khalil obviously expected to go second, putting those Lightning Storms into the SKYSTRIKER matchup. targeting Shark Cannon. He just chained the Shark Cannon, targeting the Ash Blossom, trying to get rid of some monsters in the graveyard, because you never know what they might do with them in this matchup. And that opening will get either Final Valvas, I believe. Oh wait, Despia, he's gonna get a Luber here. Same, trying to go into the Branded Fusion most likely. Discarding Ad Libitum, which can search for some, it can summon back from Banished. Which obviously can extend Khalil's plays, trying to push for game here. He has the Druid Swarm, targeting, I'm assuming it would be Ray, since it can target any Light or Dark and Banish to summon. We'll just have to see what he chooses to target here. I think Ray's a pretty good target here just because of the follow-up that it can generate when you destroy it. And yeah, obviously he's going to target the Ray, trying to prevent any further advantage, or trying to prevent Andres from getting any further advantage. And it appears that he just passed on that. Not a very strong board, obviously, but Andres comes right back at it with the multi-roll Area 0, and Khalil quickly scoops it up for a very quick game 2. We'll just have to see what goes on in game 3. Here we see him setting up for game 3. As I previously mentioned, both of these decks can go first or second into each other, so we'll just have to see what Khalil chooses to do here, if he's gonna make Andres go first or second into his board. And it appears that Andres will start us off once again with the Hornet Drones, trying to summon a token, setting up to go into the link plays. Appears to not have engaged here, so he's summoning back to gain the token and linking away right away into a Shizuku. Doesn't seem that strong. He's gonna set 1, which in SKYSTRIKER can be enough sometimes, but without the 3 spells in the graveyard, the Shizuku met with an Imprim right away, and Andres is forced to pass, which what appears to be a DD Crow and an Ash in hand. Those obviously really good into the Brandon matchup, being able to stop some of the fusions and effects in graveyard. We'll have to see if he chooses to Ash the fusion deployment once again, and he does. So if Khalil has Crossout Designator calling Ash Blossom to be able to negate it, and that not only clears the Ash Blossom for the fusion deployment, but if he gets to the Branded Fusion, it'll be a safe play. We see him summoning Fallen Valvas, trying to fuse away with the link, it seems like, with the Shizuku. Definitely a strong play coming off the bat here from Khalil, discarding the Super Poly, which in this case would serve a similar purpose to getting rid of the link, since Andres doesn't have that many. Well, he only has the 1 monster to be able to use, and Mirror Jade seems like a pretty good target here, being able to non-target banish by sending one from extra deck to graveyard as cost, usually the Albion, which can set up for some follow plays. See him play a fairly minimal board, just setting one more card and passing, which into SKYSTRIKER could be worse. Andres is gonna start off same as last time with the Hornet Drones, summoning a token. See him probably go into the Hayate here, try to set up some plays, but Khalil appears to have activated Mirror Jade, sending Albion for a cost, which will let him add or set once again from the deck a branded spell trap in the end phase. That Mirror Jade, if it gets outed, it would also blow up Andres' field, but it's quickly met with a Thrust and Chain Link Gauge to summon the Hayate. We'll just have to see what Thrust is gonna search here. It can add any spell trap to hand, since Khalil controls a monster. It's gonna add Engage, generating even more advantage. He sent the Thrust of the Link Gauge, just clarifying right there to Khalil, it appears like, and the Engage here can search even Ray, try to set up for some multi-case. He could also search for Widow Anchor, try to take that the Mirage. We'll just have to see what line of play Andres wants to go for. If he wants to go more offensive or a setup for a longer grind game, you can choose to get afterburners, which can target one face of monster in the field and destroy it. Then if you control 3, you can target the spell trap that Khalil has. I believe it's set, correct me if I'm wrong, and destroy it too. So be quite nice here, seeing as Andres just wants to kind of even out the game here, get Khalil into like a slower pace where he doesn't have to do with a big board, kind of play more linear. He's gonna swing, activate the effect, and he's gonna send a SKYSTRIKER spell from the grave. I guess he can't send any targets, it appears like. I guess he didn't activate the effect. He's gonna add back the engage with Kagari, trying to think for some more cards, draw some cards, and continue to outpace Khalil. Once again, he's gonna get the shark cannon to prevent him from searching. I would assume target the Albion and try to banish it so that Khalil doesn't get any. He doesn't get to the branded fusion, or depending on what he drew. If he has the Ash Blossom, he could also just hold on to it. It does appear that's what he's doing, however, preventing the search on the end phase to set, and setting 1 and passing. Khalil does have a Bestial Sereneer using in the end phase. We'll just have to see what he targets here. To summon, has to target a light or a dark. I believe it's the end phase. Probably gonna target the Ray, seeing as once again it's just like the card that's gonna give Andres the most value, and banishing one of his own cards here doesn't serve that much of a purpose. Appears to be thinking here if he wants to respond, which I guess it is not in in Andres's end phase. See him here, just kind of thinking about the response. Clarifying some cards, looking at the targets, and yeah, I really don't see any reason to change something here, because if the Ray gets banished, it doesn't really. I guess I don't think it would change that much here. For Andres' plays in terms of like what he can do. Very rough spot though, since it's a very simplified game state. Can't afford to make any misplays here, which explains what why they gotta make sure that they do everything right. He meets up with Ghost Bell to keep the Ray. It's interesting. Definitely. Okay, it does appear that was an Anderson's end phase in that case. Mirror Jade blowing up the field, and Andres obviously had to use the Ghost Bell to make sure that the Ray came back to be able to play on Khalil's turn. Maybe even summon the yellow SKYSTRIKER link to stop him from attacking and killing him. Once again, just trading 1 for 1, trying to slowly outpace Khalil. SKYSTRIKER, historically very good control deck, of course. We just have to see what Khalil drew for turn and how he goes about it. He has the Bestial Lubellion, amazing card here, which allows him to send Bestial Monster, which here Magnamud is being added to hand, to Khalil's hand, which when he summons it, he'll be able to search a dragon on the end phase. Can be another Bestial for follow-up into Andres' turn, or whenever he decides to link away, try to hit that Ray once again, seeing as Andres has kept it alive for some time now. We'll just have to see what Khalil decides to do here. He's gonna try to Sereneer once again, targeting his own Mirror Jade, it seems like, to summon some bead sticks. He has the possibility, I believe, to activate Bestial Lubellion here to summon back too. Try to do some plays like that. Just have to see what he decides to do. Both players thinking here. See, it's a very critical spot, as I previously said. It was like Andres thinking about activating the Ray here to quick effect tag out for a Link monster from his extra deck. yeah, he changed the DD Crow to that, targeting Bestial Lubellion. And he's gonna go into the kind of preventing the Serenir from attacking, which is we'll have to see how it goes from here, because Khalil appears to only have one card left in hand. The Magnamut can still beat over, obviously targets the Ray, and Khalil left with no cards left in hand is not in the greatest spot, although out at Andres' field in terms of card advantage, he's kind of very behind at the moment. We'll just have to see how this ends up here. Andres starting it off with an evenly matched, it seems like, getting rid of that Bestial Lubellion, the Bestial Magnamut, which Khalil's searching for on his end phase, I guess. He doesn't have that many options left, realistically, seeing as he already used most of his Bestials. He's looking at his graveyard to see if there's any targets. He does appear to have a couple left in the deck. But Albion is the card being searched, can get him to some more draws, send a couple. He can send the branded spells, which can also give him an advantage at back, depending which ones he plays in, or he decided to play in his list, which can guarantee him follow up if Andres can't do much here, which doesn't appear to have that much left. Obviously, they got themselves into a very simplified game state. SKYSTRIKER, as previously mentioned, thrives in this kind of state, so as long as he gets into those monsters, he should be fine from here on out. Oh, and he appears to have another Ray. Guarantee him some value. He can, he's picking one monster to go here. Kagari, great choice here. He has a lot of powerful spells in his graveyard. We just have to see what he chooses to add. Engage once again. Just getting more and more value. He's gonna search Widow Anchor here. Can set up for some powerful plays depending on what he draws here. Khalil shuffles, and we'll see in just a moment what Andres decides to do. He appears to be counting spells, making sure what he has in the graveyard, making sure he has 3. Oh, we can see a Rose in the hand, as well as what I believe is an Infinite Impermanence in Andres' hand. So definitely has a nice setup compared to Khalil's hand, which right now is consists of an Upstart Goblin essentially. And once again, depending on what spell traps he chooses to play, he could add back some follow-up with, I believe it's Retribution you can banish to add back, but I'm not completely sure. He, I believe he's going to attempt to get the Serenir. He can normal summon Rosier too. Try to go in for some damage. It'll just depend what he chooses to do here. He can out it by linking away too. Could just link away into a dark, add back, or summon back, and then if he runs, he could even go into some access code lines, I believe, with Celine, depending on what's in the graveyard. But it very much depends on the list and what he's setting up to do here, if he wants to go for the kill or just set up for late game. Appears that he's just gonna go for value. He's gonna normal summon the Rose, or I believe it's special summoned. Not completely sure, I apologize about that. He's gonna link into, appears he's holding a Charmer. Just have to see which one he chooses. Yeah, he's going to the Dark Line, target the Serenir, get it back. He has some interesting link possibilities here. However, it appears that he's not gonna go for any link plays and just swing here as he tries to calculate the damage. Khalil sending the retribution, set up some to have some plays for his next turn with not just the Albion in hand to set up for that draw and send. Have to see if Andres chooses to go into any other plays from here. We'll just pass it right back to Khalil. We know that his last card is a imperm, I believe it was. So depending on what Khalil's draws, Andres may just have the game here. Him leaving the monsters in the main monster zone also kind of gives away to Khalil that he did not have any more SKYSTRIKER spells. However, he does need to find a way to out the Serenir so he doesn't get it back. If Khalil chooses to start swinging into Andres' board, however, he can not only summon back the Ray if the Shizuku's destroyed, but also search of the Dark Charmer, which can get him some more advantage, and something that Khalil definitely doesn't want here in a fairly losing position. Correct top deck here can win Khalil the game, however, it'll realistically all be left to that. Appears that Andres is moving to the end phase, searching of the Shizuku against Area 0 for some follow-up on the next turn, and we just have to see what Khalil draws here. So looking at the graveyard, making sure he doesn't miss anything before committing to some plays. He's gonna start it off with the Albion, sending Branded Fusion so he can add it back with Retribution. So he's gonna draw, I believe, from Albion's effect, putting itself at the bottom of the deck. Doesn't seem too happy with that draw. Khalil here left with only a couple plays. He opens Branded Opening. He's discarding a Raid and a Kaiju. Obviously very good into the SKYSTRIKER matchup, seeing as you put a monster into the monster zone. Depending on what their hand is, it can be kind of rough. Summoning Guiding Quem the Virtuous. Obviously always treated as a Despia monster, being able to be summoned out of the Branded Opening. To see what plays he chooses to go from here. Andres sitting on one card in hand, which is the field spell, and an impermanent set, sending Blazing Cartesia, which will be added back in the end phase. So if this Branded Fusion fully resolves, Andres could be in not the best spot. Seems they're having a good time asking for a response when Khalil should know what the last card in hand is. Just have to see where Andres chooses to use this Infinite Impermanence, which right there, if Khalil activated the Branded Fusion in the wrong column, it could have been the end of the game for him right there. Thinking about the second target of what he can send, seeing as he went through most of the important targets in his deck already. He has Despian Tragedy, however, can get him into some plays if he chooses to. Just completely depends on what endboard he wants to go with. Obviously, Branded very open-ended deck right now with his board. I'm not very knowledgeable about this deck, so I couldn't tell you what he's thinking about ending on, but I do know that just looking at his graveyard in his hand, he can go into pretty much his entire extra deck right now if this resolves. He can also send a Mercurial here, try to banish it and set up some plays like that. Just have to see what he does here. Cannot summon Dragoon here because obviously, well, I guess he could send a Dark Magician off the Branded Fusion. Still thinking of what he's gonna send. a very critical point here. Appears that he's just gonna fuse with the Quem, I believe. Going into Albion effect. Gonna use. It's met with the impermanence that Andres was holding. Sadly, Khalil doesn't have any notable plays here other than going to end phase. There's nothing else you can do other than search off of the Cartesia to get it back. Appears that Andres is sealing the game here. And asking to check the graveyard here. He's gonna choose to swing, but no matter where he swings into, I believe Andres will gain a pretty decent amount of value here, as he can either get the Ray back if he swings into the Shizuku, or search for a hand trap or another Ray if he swings into the dark with the dark effect when being destroyed. Really a rough spot from Khalil. It's not looking like he can win from here. He's gonna summon back the Ray. Khalil only having the Cartesia effect in the end phase. Or Andres could go into some quick effect limp plays depending on what he has left in his extra deck. Andres draws into a terraforming, which will search him the fields what he already has, revealing Engage, Widow Anchor, and Ash off the top. Obviously gonna grab the Engage. Gonna generate him more value. Gonna draw a card and search a card. Amazing card that just got unlocked a little bit more from the Banlist. Ayate, I'm gonna try to swing directly, and should be able to seal it here. Does appear to be game, and Andres wins 2 out of 3. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the content. This is my first time commentating, so if there's anything I can improve on, just leave it in the comments, and like and subscribe.